Good Monday morning. I'm Ron Moore, and this is your morning cup of motivation here from the old log cabin, train tracks. I tell you, this train here, if you can see the rust in the background, definitely goes along with me. I'd rather burn out than rust out. So I know many of you are the same way too. You say, Ron, I don't know, how may you be getting rusty? Well, listen, if you haven't seen the movie Big George Foreman, you need to see that. Great story. Now I know some of you girls saying, "Oh, it's got a lot of boxing," but hey, it's got a lot of just romance and love and lust and oh, Ron, I can't believe you said lust. Well, you know, that's just life. You know, that's we all fall into it. And as did George Foreman in his BC days. And but it shows a great story of a guy who was knocked down but got back up. I know some of you are facing that. You feel like, man, you've been knocked down. Hey, I know the feeling. Listen, let me tell you. And yet, you know, it is so true that there is no crime to be knocked down. In fact, there's nothing wrong when you're knocked down with taking the mandatory 10 count, picking yourself up, washing yourself off, and going on with life. You know, that's really was the inspiration of my book, How to Keep Swinging When You've Taken More Hits Than a Louisville Slugger. It's like I had this revelation, if you will, of how many people get knocked down and they just stay down on the playing field of life. They stay down because of guilt or condemnation, because, boy, they screwed up big time. They got knocked down and they just want to wallow in that. Meanwhile, the game of life just keeps going. It keeps going back and forth all the rest of your life. It keeps going with or without you. And so I want to challenge you today that, hey, if you've been knocked down, boy, in the name of Jesus, pick yourself up. In fact, Proverbs 24 tells us that a righteous man or a woman gets knocked down 7 times, but they get up again. So maybe you have experienced being knocked down by, oh my gosh, what are the big traumas of life? You know, divorce, bankruptcy, being fired from a job. I mean, there are just so many things that Satan can throw at us to steal, kill, and destroy. But a child of God, don't let him do it to you. He may have a temporary victory, but he hasn't won the war. Because, you see, we win the war. So if you're knocked down, hey, you just got to say, okay, Lord, I blew it. Maybe it was some gross sin. You know, maybe you just blew it out your nose, you know. Hey, been there, done that. And I know what it is to beat yourself up, beat myself up, bloodied and bruised beyond recognition with guilt and condemnation, throwing rocks at my own self, you know. But I know what it is, too, to absolutely hear from God saying, He buried my cross, my sin, my shame, rising again, I bless your name. And, you know, it just hit me that day when first time I ever heard that song, that, hey, if He bore my shame, there's no need of me bearing it too. There's no need of both of us bearing it. So pick yourself up no matter how many times you've got knocked down. Also, see, Paul said in 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter, I believe it's verse 8 and 9, he said in the Ron Moore Revised Version, I'll give you just a brief synopsis. He says, hey, we're knocked down, but we're not out. So child of God, I want you to know you may be knocked down, but as long as you're breathing, you're not out of the game of life. Get yourself up, pick yourself up, and say, in the name of Jesus, because He lives, I can face. Maybe you just need to say, as I have said before, Lord, because you live, I can face today. You know, forget tomorrow, I can face today. So if that's your case, if you feel knocked down, let me tell you, life is not over, okay? It's just all part of your story that God's weaving in to your testimony. See, there's no testimony without a test, you know. So as you find His all-sufficiency for you during this time, I want you to know, hey, listen, you just because you've been knocked down, pick yourself up. You're not out of the game. In the name of Jesus, go on and live life. Hey, have a great Monday, and I'll talk to you again on Wednesday. Bye-bye now.